everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coker Culture. Welcome back into Coach Coker's classroom. That's a tongue twister that I didn't even realize until now. And welcome back to the Psych-Zone. I am really enjoying getting to do this series for you guys and talking about something that is very passionate to me, the subject of psychology, something I've been teaching on for almost a decade by this point, and something that I truly think can benefit each and every one of us in various different ways. Before I get going into talking about what we're going to be discussing today, shout out to our boy Azkhalon. He's got some merch. You can find those links on his site, but check him out. You know, we'll say, and we'll always say, we're Azkhalon's #1 fans, and he helps us out a lot and has been supporting us from the beginning. So make sure, we love to rep him. The boys have Azkhalon shirts as well, and he just got some brand new merchandise over on his merch store. So hit him up. And again, before we get into the topic, want to do our subscriber shout out, and this one's just a tad bit different because I'm not 100% sure if she subscribes or not, but I wanted to shout out Cris the Girl, because Cris and I and Cris and Jess have had several interactions through social media. And Cris and Jay are just both wonderful people. I'll put a link to Chris's channel down below along with Azkhalon's. But thank you. Oh, and Ty says, and Tampa Jay's, so I'll put Tampa Jay's down there too. But thank you, Cris, for supporting us just as much as we support you. And thank you all for just being awesome people. Okay, so with that little business out of the way, let's get into what I want to talk about today. On the heels of identity from last time, as we are getting into the final week of the semester for public school here in our area, as seniors are getting ready to graduate, and as underclassmen and many others at the middle school level are getting prepared to take their finals, it was suggested to me by one of my former students and current subscribers to talk about memory. And I think that's a great topic. It's a very big topic, so I've tried to condense it down and just focus on some areas here, because not only is this a good time to discuss memory with finals coming up, but this is also, a time of year where a lot of memories are made, and people take those and cherish them for their lifetime and build upon who they are and help form and shape their identity, which we talked about in the previous episode. So with this realm of memory, we're really just going to focus on it from the psychological perspective. At least that's how I'm going to be speaking to it. Our memories help to shape who we are. They influence our perceptions of the world, our decisions, and even our identities. So come along with me as we journey to unravel the mysteries of memory. We'll get into the differences between the three main types of memory: short-term, long-term, and sensory. We're also going to examine various memorization methods, positives and negatives of those, and shed light on the true power of our minds. So let me start with what I'm going to call the trifecta of memory: short-term, long-term, and sensory. To start that, you got to understand the building blocks of how our minds work, how our memories work. And it's in these three stages that the components are divided. So we'll start with sensory memory. And sensory memory is really the gateway to our perception and understanding. It acts as a very temporary, very brief storage system that allows us to retain impressions of all of the sensory information that we take in each and every second. So touch, taste, sight, smell, what have you. It's here we experience the world through those various senses. Okay, so the sight of a beautiful sunset or the sound of a melodious symphony. However, sensory memory has an extremely limited capacity and quickly fades if we don't give our direct attention to it. And that simply, it can be done selectively, or our mind will go ahead and make snap judgments on our behalf as to what it considers to be important and what it filters out. For instance, as you're watching this, you probably haven't been thinking about how that shirt you're wearing feels against your skin, or how rough and coarse your jeans might be feeling against your leg. Because again, that's something that you're feeling 100% of the time all day long, but your mind isn't focusing on that because it's not important. You're thinking about it now because I've put it back in your brain, but you probably didn't give any thought to it since you put those clothes on this morning, or again, it's the weekend, maybe this afternoon, depending on when you decided to get ready. That's how sensory memory and our selective attention with it works. So let's get to second component of memory, that being your short-term memory, which serves as a kind of mental sketch pad for yourself. Okay, it's sometimes and oftentimes referred to as working memory because you've got to work with this information that you've chosen to give your selective attention to if you want it to make or want that information to go into your long-term memory. Okay, but this is where our conscious thoughts reside. Okay, it allows us to retain information for short durations of time, okay, typically around 20 to 30 seconds. And while short-term memory does have a bigger capacity than sensory, it still requires that selective attention to maintain the information. It can hold about 7 to 8 items at a time, so very, very small grocery list. Okay, and to prevent forgetting that information, we tend to employ strategies like rehearsing or chunking the information, or active repetition, or some other way of organizing it to try to get it into long-term memory. Okay, and then long-term memory is our archive of experiences. Okay, it's the treasure trove of all of our life experiences, knowledge, and skills that we've built up. It has a seemingly limitless capacity to store information over extended periods ranging from days to decades. Okay, this type of memory is further categorized into explicit and implicit memories. And explicit would be declarative, while implicit would be procedural. Okay, explicit memories help us to recall facts, events, and personal experiences, things we've lived through. Okay, while implicit memories influence our behavior without our conscious awareness to them. We don't have to necessarily put that selective attention to it. So now that we understand the different types of memory, those three components, let's explore some popular memorization methods that tap into the potential that our minds have. Okay, each method possesses very unique strengths and weaknesses, providing us with various tools to enhance our learning and memory abilities. Repetition. Time-tested method, of course, been around forever, involves repeatedly reviewing information to try to reinforce the memory. Okay, rote learning tends to go hand in hand with this. Rote memorization relies on mechanical repetition without a very deep level of understanding of the knowledge. Okay, these methods can be effective for memorizing factual information or basic concepts. If you're cramming for an exam here at the end of the semester, it's not going to hurt you to do this. However, you're not going to get those deeper connections, and it could hinder overall comprehension. So if your final's an essay, this is not the way to go. Making it challenging to apply the knowledge in different contexts. So you need to have a deeper understanding. You want a deeper understanding, don't go rote memorization. Mnemonics. Okay, mnemonic devices utilize associations or other types of mental shortcuts to help with your retrieval of that information. So acronyms, acrostics, types of visualization to help link new information to things that you already know, or to help create vivid mental pictures and images for you to bring back to the forefront. So by infusing content with personal meaning, mnemonics can significantly enhance memory retention. Nonetheless, they require additional time and effort to generate, to come up with. Okay, that may not be something that's readily available that already has a mnemonic, especially a personal one to help you remember. So as a result, it doesn't really work for everything. It's not going to work for all types of information. Spaced repetition. That leverages the psychological principle of distributing learning sessions over time. So by reviewing information at gradually increasing intervals, we then optimize our memory consolidation and retrieval. Okay, it takes advantage of the spacing effect, which suggests that spaced intervals between study sessions, thanks Ty, lead to better long-term retention. However, implementing this can be challenging without dedicated tools or systems to help you with that spacing. So as we evaluate these very, very few different types of memorization methods, it's important to acknowledge their specific advantages and disadvantages. So some positive, okay, increased retention and recall. So effective memorization methods improve our ability to retain and retrieve information when we need it. Okay, number 2, enhanced understanding. Okay, by creating these meaningful associations, mnemonic devices can deepen comprehension and foster long-term learning. Then flexibility, number 3. Different methods cater to various learning preferences, and that's a whole nother topic for another day in my opinions on learning styles and learning preferences. Preferences are a thing. I'm not going to go down that hole. That's a rabbit hole. That's a whole nother session. I'm not going to do that. Sorry. Allowing individuals to select techniques that resonate with the learning preference that they have, how they would like to learn. Negatives, time and effort, number 1. Some of these methods, like mnemonics and spaced repetition, may require additional time and effort to implement effectively. So again, if you haven't already been using those, it's kind of going to be very difficult for you to do it in 1 week if you're preparing for an exam. Okay, you might just have to go repetition and rote memorization. It's not going to be the greatest bet for you, but it's the time crunch you're in, unfortunately. Applicability. Certain memorization techniques might excel in specific learning areas and domains, but prove much less effective in others. Okay, limiting their generalizability. Is that a word? I don't know. It sounds right, but you can't apply it to every single method. It's not a generalized thing. And then number 3, negative here, risk of superficial learning. Rote memorization, when disconnected from that comprehension, so you're not getting it, you're not comprehending, you're just memorizing it. It's a very, very basic surface level understanding that you're getting. And it can actually, over a longer term, hinder your critical thinking because you're not getting deeper. You're not analyzing that information. And it teaches you an improper study habit, which you go into college, you go into graduate school, you need that analytical ability. And just by doing this, you're hindering yourself long term. It's a quick fix, may get you the grade you want. It's not going to help you over the course of being a lifetime learner. In conclusion, with all this stuff, memory is a complex tapestry that's interwoven with sensory impressions, short-term recollection, and long-term storage, your three components. Understanding the distinctions between the memory systems empower us to harness their potential fully. Moreover, by employing a range of memorization methods, we can capitalize on the strengths of each approach, paving the way for improved retention, comprehension, and lifelong learning. So let us embrace the boundless capacity of our minds, cultivate the art of our memory, and unlock the true potential within ourselves. We can embark on a journey to embrace the wonders of memory and harness its transformative power. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Psych-Zone. I hope that this helps you get a better understanding of yourself, your memory, maybe even some study habits. I hope that you're enjoying this series as much as I am doing the research, typing out exactly what I want to say about each topic, and then presenting that information to you, hopefully in a new and different way than maybe you've learned it before, or if you're learning it for the first time. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to give this video a like down below, as it goes a long way to help the channel. If you've got any questions, comments about anything that I just said, please leave those down below. Again, as it's something that I very, very, very much enjoy is interacting with all of you. And then as of this video, we're 7 subscribers away from 400, and we're trying to get to our year-end goal of 500. So if you're not subscribed and you're enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button and maybe turn your notifications on so you never miss a Coker Culture episode. To our subscribers, and really to you, whoever you are, even if you're not subscribed, thank you for tuning in. We truly appreciate it, and I hope that this had some impact on you. Before signing off, just want to shout out our boy Azkhalon again, Cris the Girl, and Tampa Jay. Thank you guys. Links to their channels, all 3 of them, down below. Truly appreciate y'all and everything that you do. Until next time, guys, what's your why?